Here are your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
UFC Vegas 66. We closed out the year with a bang, kind of, right? We had a lot of fun fights here on this card. Main event ended in a split decision in favor of the Killer Gorilla, Jared Cannonier. So now the middleweight division really is a mess. You know, coming into 2023, we're going to have a lot to talk about. We're going to have a lot of bouts up in the air in terms of like one of the most open divisions in the UFC currently. However, we did have a little bit of closure here this weekend, folks. Our head-to-head champion has been announced, as you can see on the scoreboard below. 148-82 for me on the year. 141-89 is my boy AJ on the year. And with that being said, let me bring him in. The New Mexico native, the Santa Fe bomber, a man who's been giving me a hell of a run for my money all year long, brother. It's finally announced. The scorecards are in. You did what you needed to do to kind of throw the Hail Mary at the at the last event of the year, but good year overall, would you say?
Man, they're a great year overall, brother. Back and forth battle. For the majority of the year, I was up, and it just proves you can never lay your foot on the gas or you can never doubt your opponent. The man standing next to you, across from you, however you're going to phrase it, especially like in this platform next to you. Brother, great year, bro. It was a hell of a year. And comparing scores to some of the other people that do this year in and year out, man, we're looking hella good, folks. So thank you so much for tuning in. And as much as it was a great year of a battle for this back and forth, folks, Derick, excuse me, it was even more fun to do it in front of y'all. So that way we have a little bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not closure, but accountability. A little bit of accountability, man. So you can see here, week in, week out, how we're doing and growing, man. It's good to be. How you feeling, Derick? How you feeling about this year?
I'm feeling good, brother. I felt like it was a very hard-fought year. It was not my year to start off, right? Let's just say I was getting my ass handed to me. But like we say, start strong, finish strong. Even when you're down, as long as you believe, there's always something you can achieve. Now, I'm feeling real good, because double champ, I think that fits pretty well right here, brother. Let me actually flip it just to make sure the people at home can see it properly and nice. So we got one belt for 2022. We got another one back here for 2021. I'd say triple champ is going to sound really, really good next year. But I know if I thought my man AJ was hungry this year, I got my work cut out for me next year, folks. But AJ, man, what's more important is I want to talk about, obviously, the fights. I want to talk about the recap of this weekend. But after we break that down, there's another little graphic. Or actually, let's do it a little unconventional. I'm going to bring up that graphic first. How about we do that? You know what I'm saying? So let's get into some recap. So, folks, you can see the scoreboards here, but I'm going to pull this up really quickly, and then we'll jump straight into that, all right? So you was just talking about, AJ, you said our scores in comparison to some of the other people out there in the world, pretty damn good, both over 60% accuracy on the year. But I want to not compare ourselves to anybody else. I want to compare ourselves only to ourselves, right? So let's take a little bit of a look at the final tallies on the year. 148-82 for me, 141-89 for you, 64% for me in terms of accuracy, 61% for you. I think that's pretty fantastic. But the bigger numbers is look at the improvements from last year, AJ. We're talking about 5.7% for me. That's all right. You jumped up 10 points, brother. You jumped up 10 points from 2021. And I want people to truly understand how difficult of a feat that is. We did 230 picks overall this year. And you're telling me that if we were at a bar and the fight came on and it's a coin toss between both fighters every time, and I said, AJ, who you got for this fight? 61% of the time you were correct. You can't tell me that's not a feat right there. So I want to reflect just for a brief second before we move on with the rest of the show. How do you feel about a 10-point jump from last year, and what do you plan on achieving in 2023?
That's exactly what I was kind of highlighting here, Derick. I'm glad you highlighted in the graphic, man, because as much as jealous as I am and as hungry as I am for those belts, man, for a belt to be sitting right here, right behind me, 10% accuracy, man, like you said, let's set a situation. You know, you're going into a bar. This guy says, okay, yeah, we're doing a coin toss. Two people are fighting 61% of the time. I can guess the right guy is going to win this fight. This guy comes back next week and he has improved 10% over the time, or next year 10% over the time, man. You're gonna think this guy, you know, you're gonna be throwing some money his way all day long, gonna be filling your pocketbooks for any time coming up. So if we can keep this going, man, 10%, that's a hell of an improvement. So I'm gonna take a little bit of a solace or an acceptance of happiness in the fact that, yeah, that's a great improvement. But like you said, Derick, what's going forward next year, man? We're gonna keep improving, man. I don't know if we can hit another 10%, but I'm shooting 8. I'm shooting 8 to 10, somewhere in there, man. I'm gonna make it high. I was thinking 5 and said, fuck it, why not? Set the bar a little high for yourself, folks, so that way you can keep grinding. And hopefully we can surpass that, man. If we can shoot up and both of us can hit above that 8 to 10%, man, that's a hell of a return. Very impressive, man. It makes me more excited talking about it, because that's just spreading more wealth all around, spreading more fun, spreading more shows, more views, man. It's gonna be a great time.
100%, but I want an official pick right here, man, because I think on this platform, one thing that we're okay with doing is we're okay with daring to be great, right? To setting a target, because if you have no target, you have nothing to actually hit. So I'm going to give myself a very, very bold prediction. I'm going for, and I'm going to be realistic here, 68.5% accuracy on the year next year, man. That's a pretty high clip. What do you see for yourself next year?
You know, it's funny, Derek. You said dare to be great. Instantly, my mind hit 72. Be a little reasonable. You said 68. I'm going for the win, Derek. I'm going 69.
Oh,
I'm going 69%, brother. I have to. I'm chewing, like you said. I'm hungry, brother. I'm going for it.
Right.
And it's especially with how good of a fight this entire year was. Like you said, me leading half, if not a little bit more. You coming back very, very, very strong at the end, man. That 69 sounds real nice to me, brother.
Right on. All right, so I'm gonna show it one more time, folks, because I want to talk about one more thing. So if I'm looking for 68.5, I'm looking for about a 4-point increase. My man AJ is looking for like an 8-point increase. So if he can do an 18+% return from 2 years, you know what I mean, like a 2-year gap, I'm just saying you got to throw money in my man's pockets all day long. Now, the other thing that I wanted to highlight, perfect weeks are hard to come by, AJ. You know, think about it. All of the fights that we had called this year alone, man, they had, I mean, 20, 30, 40 events. 2 perfect weeks for you and 1 perfect week for me. Now, we share one of the perfect weeks. That's UFC Vegas 65. That was just a couple weeks ago when we got a nice, I believe it was a 4 spot because the main event got canceled right there. However, UFC London #1, man, you hit a perfect week early on in the year. So you give credit where credit's due. When it comes down to the flawless victory, you have won the year on that. However, head-to-head is the only thing that counts. I got the shiny belt. Enough talking about it. We'll return to that a little bit later. Thank you, brother. And you know what? Let's do it legitimately, right? Brother. There we go. All right. Now, I love to be humble in victory and defeat. So with that being said, let's talk about some fights, folks. I will be sporting this belt for the rest of the show, but do not fret. Let's talk about how we did this week, brother. Let's get it. All right, man. UFC Vegas 66. Now, I do think it's got to, I have to mention this, right? Had you gone with your original picks, you would have had much better of a week than you did, but you had to risk it to get the biscuit. And with that being said, I won the money line week 5-1. Lone pick that I got wrong, AJ, is a pick that I told you on air. I think Tsarukyan's going to win it, and let's just say we got to talk about that in a second. He did more than just win, man. He put on a dominant display. Either way, Jared Cannonier got the win. Amir, Albazi, Alex Caceres, Drew Dober, Michal Oleksiejczuk, man, big wins across the board. My man AJ, he did finish with the Tsarukyan win and the Albazi win. However, long shots for kind of the rest of the way, so 2-4 on the money line. AJ, man, we said we're going to end the year strong on the prop bets, so we need to talk about this a little bit. This is not my idea of ending the year strong, but this gives me a lot of motivation to write some things down in my accountability mirror for 2023 to make sure that we right the wrongs, man. What happened? Again, what happened here? I know you long shotted, so you have an excuse, but for me, I have no excuse. So what do you think happened here?
Well, it's crazy, Derek, because like you said, man, I took a long shot on some of these, but still, even with your solidified picks, and even, you know, when I was writing them down, a lot of those picks were the way to go if you're looking to make some money. We made it clear in the pre-show that was what we were doing, and we still went 1-5, man. It's rough to see. It's hard, but I think the best thing I can take out of this, because I don't really know what happened, man. I mean, the Strickland decision, yeah, I missed that one. Cannonier TKO, it's pretty hard to knock out Strickland. I don't know, man. Damir Ismagulov, those ones, either one of those could happen. The Albazi sub, maybe we were just feeling a little reading into the UFC hype a little bit for that one. I mean, that might have been a little bit, and credit to Costa, showed up for the most part. I mean, until the end of round, you know. But what I was saying is that I think this one makes it where I want to be. My accountability is getting these prop bets a little bit better, man. Do you have a number on how accurate we were on the prop bets overall for the year? Or not quite.
I did not track that because this was our first year doing it. It was kind of on the whim, and this is something that we're gonna have to talk about whether we'll revisit for next year or not. But the point is, man, it was a tough go to go across. I'll just say we did not do good this year, and I will own that.
Exactly, and that's a thing. I think if I can focus on improving right there, then another bonus going into the next year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, with that being said, folks, you cannot dwell on the past. There's nothing we can do to change it at this point. All we can do is talk about what happened, analyze it, and move forward. And with that being said, let's jump into this recap. Let's get it.
Have you seen that replay, buddy? Your head was bouncing around like a pinball machine.
Time for some main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ. So leave it to the UFC, AJ, to end the calendar year with a split decision and another controversial decision to some, right? Now, at the end of the day, I do believe that the correct man got their hand raised in victory. However, the question was, if you look at the scorecards, none of the judges really came to a consensus. You had 49-46s both ways. The same rounds weren't necessarily being scored, but I think it's safe to say Sean Strickland probably won the first opening 2 rounds, and Cannonier took off with the last remaining 3. Now, the thing that I want to talk to you about here, though, AJ, isn't even a matter of scoring, but it's a matter of style. And this is why I felt Jared Cannonier could win this fight. Sean Strickland, did I think he was going to go straight Pereira style again, walk right in front of Cannonier and let his head get knocked off? Like, no. But the jab and run style, though I'm a very big fan of it, shout out Floyd Mayweather and all that, is not as conducive in the eyes of the judges when you have a man walking you down, throwing big shots at you, beating up your legs, just kind of cutting you off across the cage. In the eyes of the judges, I think that they don't favor that jab and run style as much as like it is effective, I guess I should say. So give me your thoughts on that, man. Do you think it's simply the aesthetic of the performance of Sean Strickland that lost him the fight, or did he actually need to do a little bit more?
No, I think it was aesthetics, man. And to the credit of Jared Cannonier, he did come on in the end and really start blooding up Sean Strickland. But I do think it had to have been a little bit more of that aggression style that you just look like you're doing more even in the cage. Because like you said, Derek, that jab and run is a lot more effective. And there's one very frustrating thing about fighting somebody that just keeps sticking their jab in your face and then they're out and you can't hit them back. They're just eluding you. It's very frustrating. A lot of damage gets done, but not the damage in the fact of like big shots, you know what I'm saying? So I think the judges were counting more for that. And because the damage is a big scoring factor, it is the first scoring factor for the judges. But which one counts more, man? Me personally, I'd rather have somebody not jabbing me in the face all day and have it kind of that tactical fight where we can both have that same kind of style of Jared Cannonier, because that jab in the face is annoying, man. So I can see where the Sean Strickland fans say he did enough, say he had enough output, he was controlling a lot of the fight. But I agree with you, Derek. I think the right man won the fight on this one.
I think the problem was the lack of mixing it up target-wise for Sean Strickland, right? Jared Cannonier is beating up the legs. You could see the visible damage on Strickland's leg. He was throwing those big combinations, that big right cross, left hook combination, and he was literally popping Strickland's head back, kind of a lot like that. Strickland, though, he took it like a champ, bro. Fantastic chin. You could tell that Pereira literally just hits like a fucking monster because Cannonier was cracking Strickland, but he also does a very good job of just kind of moving out of the way of these little shots, rolling with the punches. You could tell very experienced in sparring, right? So I just think if Sean Strickland, this is the thing that pains me, as I'm a big Sean Strickland fan myself as the fighter, right? The thing that pains me the most is that we saw a little bit of success that he had with the grappling. And he did it involuntarily. He caught a kick, Cannonier went down, he started grappling, started having some control time, and then just completely abandoned it. And it's almost like, to me, this is why it's not safe, in my opinion, to bet on Sean Strickland from basically this point forward, not just this fight, but even last fight, is because we learned, even if he has the tools to win, he won't always use them. He will say, I'm going to beat you at your own game. Oh, you're killer gorilla, you like to punch hard? Well, I'm going to stand in front of you and I'm going to jab you up and do all that. So realistically, this throws the middleweight division in kind of like a little wrench in the division, right? Jared Cannonier just fought for a title, lost pretty convincingly to Israel Adesanya, and now all of a sudden they're saying, well, this win, you're back in the title picture. Do you think that's the case?
I don't think so, man. And I'm glad you brought it up too, because I was thinking the entire fight card, or when they were announcing, oh, the middleweight division is up and it's open. It's completely up for grabs. How annoying, how mad would that make you as a champion to hear that? Like, all right, dude, I beat the champ's ass that was beating everybody's ass. Y'all don't think I could beat y'all's ass? Like, what do you mean it's open? Like, what do you mean it's up for grabs now? Unless the champ is no longer there, then I can see where they're coming from, and I just haven't been informed about it. But I don't know, man. I think Killer Gorilla, he needs a couple more instances in which we can at least see something, like a little more ground game, because I don't think the style of Jared Cannonier is going to bode well with the style of Pereira, because Pereira, like you said, Derek, hits like a truck. So sure, he's doing better, but I don't think a win over Sean Strickland in the kind of fashion that he got it solidifies him for the championship title shot next. Give us somebody, because if he would have been knocked him out like did Brunson, something like that, then yeah. But I think we need to see a wrestler go against Pereira or something like that to really see what this guy's made of.
Yeah, and it's tough too, man, because Jared Cannonier is rightfully so number 3. He just beat number 6, number 7, Sean Strickland, whatever you want to call it in terms of like what his current ranking is. But where does that put you? It's kind of in the limbo, right? Like it's literally like, are they going to put Adesanya versus Pereira? Are they going to instant rematch? Who's left for Jared Cannonier? I don't know. This puts us in a very weird spot. But where do we go if we're Sean Strickland? This is the first back-to-back losses that he's faced in his career in quite some time, if at all. I don't have it pulled up right now, but at the end of the day, I mean, Sean Strickland, you go from number 7, maybe you drop a couple of spots, but you're still one of the best in the top 10. You know what I mean? You just got to mix it up a little bit more. And this was a very close fight. At the end of the day, yeah, this was like I'm forgetting the actual verbiage in terms of the numbers, right? But this was a 1-round difference in terms of the fight. I do not agree 49, 46s and stuff like that. This was a very close fight. So it's not like Sean Strickland got destroyed or anything like that. Where do we go next for Sean Strickland?
Yeah, it's rough too, man, because until Sean Strickland learns that he needs to win the fight and not beat the other guy's ego or beat his own ego or that like that, he's not a safe bet. And I'm saying top 15, maybe, fight somewhere in the top 15. Cause I agree with you. One of the top 10 best fighters in the division. But until he starts really getting back to the hands and mixing it up, I don't see him doing well against anybody above him. So I think he needs to fight below, fight in that 15 range, get a little bit of confidence going back, and then come back and fight for the, upwards. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely with you. I'm looking at the rankings right now, and I'm just like, okay, the people above him: Paulo Costa, Derek Brunson, Vettori, Cannonier, Whitaker, Adesanya, Pereira. We already saw how the Whitaker fight went. We saw how the Adesanya fight went. You know what I mean? It's like, are you going to fight who? Marvin Vettori, Derek Brunson? Like, we already saw the Brunson fight. Like, I don't know. It's a little bit of a limbo right here. But either way, interesting main event to end the year. Not the way that you want to see it ended, but I mean, that's how it ended, folks. Now, let's talk about a bout here, AJ, that legitimately, talk about throwing a wrench in the lightweight division right here. This put everything up back for grabs, man. Arman Tsarukyan just snapped Damir Ismagulov's 19-fight win streak, and he did not do it in a close fashion. He dominated Ismagulov for 3 rounds. And when the problem, or the question, I guess I should say, was, can Arman Tsarukyan, in a 3-round fight, yeah, he could put the pressure on, he could put the gas on and all that good stuff, man. But like in 5 rounds, after round 3, we start to peter out. He literally took that approach and says, well, this is not a 5-round fight. I'm going to give you everything that I got for 3 rounds. And he just grapple fucked Ismagulov. There was just nothing that Ismagulov really could do. And AJ, the most surprising part is that when Ismagulov managed to disrupt one of the trips, one of the throws of Tsarukyan, land into a full mount, Tsarukyan just said, oh, okay, sweep, boom, reversal, back up to the feet. It was almost like, I'm just telling you right now, that is so much harder than it looks. When you have a big, strong dude who's really good at grappling in full mount on top of you, and you're just like, nah, I'm just going to stand up now. That blew my mind right there. So I'm going to pull up the stats right now. Arman Tsarukyan, 7 takedowns to 0 on Damir Ismagulov, bro. I mean, come on. What are we talking about right here? How impressed were you for Tsarukyan's performance? And is this really one of, like, him, Gamrot, and I mean, I guess Volkanovski here, are these the only real legitimate threats to the title for Islam Makhachev right now?
One, how impressed, man, massively impressed. Talking about that sweep you're talking about when Ismagulov had him in full mount, it looks so flawless. I didn't even realize what happened. Yeah. I thought Ismagulov stood up. I was like, oh shit, like, all right, this is wild. He literally just, whoop, no problem, easy. Like you said, a very difficult move. But is Tsarukyan and who'd you say?
Tsarukyan, you got like Beneil Dariush, you got Mateusz Gamrot, and then you got like
Volkanovski. Because that's what's gonna have to get Makhachev off his throne, man. Is somebody with great wrestling, great power, great pressure, and also hits like a truck. Yeah, I mean, Tsarukyan, and going back to their first fight when Tsarukyan entered into the UFC, it just shows how good Makhachev is. Because both fighters have gotten better, but Tsarukyan's an absolute animal, man. So if this makes me even more excited for that fight going into it. And I think the Tsarukyan possesses the skills. Now what I'm excited to see is if we can pair him up against a boxer like a Benny Dariush, like somebody who's going to be able to stop that forward pressure, forward motion, and as well as hit you back harder than they're going to see. Even like maybe a Drakkar Klose might be too, or Tsarukyan might be too much for a Drakkar Klose, but somebody that can stop the pressure and as well as hit you back hard, and then we can see the hand skills, the fighting skills that Tsarukyan has there. Then we can see what he's going to look like against Makhachev, because I agree he's one of the guys that's going to be going into it. Who do you think would be a good matchup, Derek?
For Tsarukyan or for Makhachev?
Tsarukyan.
I kind of would like to see him fight Gaethje. I would like to see how that plays out. I don't know if Gaethje would be able to keep him off him, but if he can, things are going to get real interesting on the feet, right? Calf kicks, big, heavy shots. I'll just say this, man. Tsarukyan made a fantastic point. He says, me and Ismagulov are the two guys nobody wants to fight in this division, and you just saw what I did to Ismagulov. Makhachev is the only fight for me right now. I've already given him the toughest fight of his career. The only problem is in that assessment, AJ, you got to think about when Tsarukyan fought Makhachev. You know what I mean? Makhachev has definitely grown leaps and bounds since the first time they fought. The question is, has Tsarukyan? I'm not saying that he hasn't, but given that this performance against Ismagulov was pretty fucking flawless, I do think that this is the narrative, this is the timetable, this is the fight that needs to happen. So we're going to go Makhachev versus Volkanovski. If Makhachev can get past him, you got to give him Benny Dariush, right? Like, and then if he can get past Benny, then Tsarukyan is your time to shine. But going from number 9, you don't move much from beating a dark horse number 12 that nobody really wants to fight. So I do think, let me ask you, let me turn the table. Do you think that Tsarukyan needs 1 or 2 more to get a title shot?
At least 1 more. Like I said, 1, 2, I can see the UFC giving him another 2 because, like you said, man, Benny deserves a shot, as well as if Makhachev can get past Volkanovski, then we're talking, but if Volkanovski win one, where there's a whole mix-up. But Tsarukyan needs another one, another big solidified win, especially a finish. If he can get a finish on a higher-ranked opponent, then I think we're talking big shots right there. If he gets another decision on another wrestler and it's a kind of another 15-minute fight, I see him having to get another one in there. But Uncle Dana's a delivery, like what's the word, where he delivers. And when you deliver, he gives you even more. So you know what I'm saying? Like that's Uncle Dana's MO. And if Tsarukyan can get a knockout on a big guy, then we see some championship material. But I think Benny's in line first.
And then last question before we move past this one, man. Do you think that Tsarukyan has really taken to heart my cardio needs to be ready 5 rounds, ready to go? You know what I'm saying? Just because I'm not going to lie to you, but that was my big concern in this fight. Round 2, I was like, dude, he might have gassed himself out. Round 3, I was like, he really must have gassed himself out. But he's still just relentless with his grappling right there. So cardio did not seem to be an issue whatsoever. Do you think he'll be ready to go for 5 rounds?
I think he needs to. Will he be ready? I don't know, man. I don't know. Because there's something weird in the body where you go for so long doing 15 minutes that you go a minute past that and you die. It's like the same thing in a marathon. You get tired right at mile 22 and that's where you end.
Yeah.
You still got a couple more miles to go, but you can't. Same thing in those last couple rounds. I think he'll be able to, but at the moment, I don't know, man. I want to see.
All right, well, we'll find out. I will just say this, man. Damir Ismagulov still is my dark horse in the lightweight division to be able to become a champion at some point. Has been sidetracked a little bit, but that's okay, man. You broke your 19-fight win streak. You only got 2 losses on your career. You'll be all right. And you lost to one of the best in the division. Like, let's go. All right, let's talk about this next one, man. Dare to be great. Alessandro Costa absolutely dared to be great in his UFC debut against an Amir Albazi, who was supposed to fight the number 4 ranked man in the flyweight division. Listen, tough test, tough outing, and the dude who has nothing but crack in his hands had to play some jiu-jitsu in this fight. But Amir Albazi, in interesting fashion, I think this is the problem. When you're so good and you're so dominant and someone knows that your goal is to come out and to submit them, they're going to do whatever they can to prevent that, right? So while, yes, in hindsight, that minus 110 submission prop, probably not the smartest, the TKO was probably the next best bet, and we should have been looking at why is it a plus 650 prop, you know what I mean, in terms of like why do the odds makers not think he can get it done? Because that's, if you can't submit him, you can get in the guard or you can put yourself in a spot where you can get that ground and pound finish, and Amir Albazi absolutely did that. Now, my question to you, AJ, did you expect him to drop him in order to then finish up with the ground and pound, or did you think he'd be able to do it simply just from guard passing and things of that nature?
I thought it was going to be simply from guard passing, man. I didn't realize Albazi had those kind of hands, bro, and he was looking good. The slower that Costa got, the better Albazi's hands were looking, and man, that uppercut was very impressive. But credit to Costa too, man. I got to give a lot of credit to this kid because he came in, I forget how short of a notice, 8 days, 12 days, some kind of short notice, stepped in against an absolute beast in the division, top 10 fighter in the division, and gave him a pretty damn good fight. I mean, like you said, Derick, when you go in there and you know the other guy is a specialist at this, you're going to be training that, so you're going to stop a lot of that. So Costa did a very good job as far as defending the ground game and all that stuff, man. I expected it to be a lot easier. But that's what happens. You get so focused on this guy's specialty that you realize that he can crack you with some hands too. And sure enough, you ate an uppercut, you go to sleep. It happens. But, man, very impressive fight for both guys.
100%. And that's the thing too, man. You got to think all the pressure was on Amir Albazi. You're number 8. You're fighting this random guy coming in, you know what I mean, has massive knockout power. So I can also see why, like, the first round was super slow. So when I was like first round submission, I was like, okay, well, that bet's out the window because like they didn't really do much at all in the first round. There's a lot of respect between the two. But the question is not even, and this is, I feel bad because you don't want to disregard Costa, but you knew this was a placeholder. This was not a meaningful matchup in the division. So for Amir Albazi, it's like, who is going to be next? They're even saying, they're like, because he's saying, I'm trying to fight a ranked dude. None of these dudes want to fight me. Royval pulled out. Perez pulled out. Like, all these guys pulled out. So the next fight needs to be somebody ranked either higher than him or in the same level. But a lot of people are saying, well, if you don't get that ranked fight, you know who you can fight? Muhammad Mokaev. And it's like, oh, that would be a good fight, bro. But also, is Mokaev ready for that number 8? I know this dude is young. He's a monster and all that. He's trying to be on his Hamzat. You know, I smash everybody. But do you think he's ready for Amir Albazi?
I think so. I think we could give it to him, man, because Albazi needs that kind of young fighter energy to really make a name for himself. Muhammad Mokaev is a problem, man, an absolute problem in division. But I feel like Albazi's just talented and experienced enough to really give Mokaev a lot of problems in there. So it'd be a very, very good test. I don't like, if I was the managers of both of these fighters, I wouldn't like the fight for either of the guys. But as a fan, I really like this fight going forward. Very stressful fight for both these dudes, man. Who do you think gets that one?
I think Albazi will be able to get it done, man. I think that there might just be a little bit of a difference between the two in terms of, 1, experience, 2, simply just strength. Mokaev is a very strong dude, but I think Amir Albazi will be able to mitigate some of that relentless, nonstop grappling from him, or at least put him in danger, right? You know, and we're going to talk about in the prelims, like a similar, like Saidyokun versus Nurmagomedov, right? 2 powerhouse, relentless dudes, and then the dude who was winning, who was being relentless, ended up getting choked out. Like, it is what it is. But fantastic win by Amir Albazi. You got to feel for him. He needs to get somebody in the top 10, preferably and probably the top 5 in his next fight. But this is one here, AJ, man, where you gotta feel good and you gotta feel bad. I'm a big fan of both of these gentlemen, but you have to love to see Bruce Leroy Alex Caceres land the southpaw version of Robert Whittaker's just classic, you know what I mean, lead hand or backhand and then the kick coming over the top, man. This was poetry in motion. But Alex Caceres, he did get the TKO win over Julian Erosa, man, in a fight where I said it. I was like, the size might be a little bit too much. Erosa might be a little bit too big. But we know Erosa thrives in brawls and car crashes. Caceres, remember this is the question I asked you. I said, Caceres, oftentimes, unless forced into that car crash, will pick you apart from distance, and he will do a fantastic job of it. This was literally that. He did not get lulled into the brawl, right? So, did you see this coming? I'm not going to say the knockout, but did you see this type of performance from a Caceres coming? Because I felt like the trickiness of Caceres was very quickly, like it was such a slow start for Julian Erosa. I just felt like he wasn't able to pick up his momentum quick enough, and then by the time he got flatlined, it was just too late. What do you think?
I agreed, and the problem is he let Caceres get into the flow. He let Caceres get that timing down and the distance down, and by the time Erosa kind of built up to that brawl level, Caceres already had his reads, bro. And as a fake southpaw myself, like I got a very strong left leg, not a very strong left hand. But seeing somebody crack you with that left hand and then come across with that left leg, man, beautiful from Caceres. Literally, I tweeted it. Jaw was on the floor, bro. This and it came from when a moment you thought Erosa was really starting to build in the fight. And as an Erosa fan, you think this dude kind of starts getting into the brawl, started getting the commotion going, started getting the pressure going. He's really going to start building up and starting to turn this fight into his. And the next thing you know, he's on the ground. Caceres doing the little bow, sits, does the yoga sit, man. Caceres, it was an exciting moment. I'm happy to see Caceres win. I'm sad to see Erosa lose, but still happy for a good fight, man, because this was wild, bro. I love seeing Bruce Leroy win. I hope he gets a little bit more credit because this dude, another dark horse in the division that a lot of people don't want to fight, talented in every way, and the UFC keeps feeding him dangerous opponents like Sting Cho. You get Julian Juicy J Erosa. I'm excited to see who they're going to match this young boy up with next to see the kind of star-studded performance he puts out.
100%. And I'll just say, man, this is another example. I said it in the pre-show. Like, Alex Caceres is always overlooked, and he always overperforms. And this is like another testament of that. This is one where Erosa was the betting favorite. A lot of people didn't think Caceres did have, like, the intangibles, the skills, the physicality to be able to keep up with him over the course of 3 rounds. And once again, he just goes to show, man, this is the dude. And it's like, come on, man. He's a perfect ambassador for the sport. You saw the post-fight presser. This dude is talking about we're all one. I want to feel, and this is the thing that I think is the most important. He says, I want to feel the same in victory as I do in defeat, because at the end of the day, we're just humans. We're all one. We just come out here and we perform. And if you can keep that mentality, you can have longevity in the sport. This is a dude with double-digit losses on his career, a dude who grew up in the UFC. How do you feel about that message to the world right here? Do you think that is the message, the Bushido code that we need to start passing out a little bit more, and less drama show, less violent murder type stuff, and then more just like humble B1 type stuff? What do you think?
I think so, Derick. I mean, it provides you a lot of happiness, but 2, a lot less stress, man. And if you can feel like I was so happy with the post-fight interview from Bruce Leroy, man. I wrote down some of those quotes, I had to put them on the website, I had to put them on the fucking just wherever, so you can go look at some stuff, because having that kind of inner peace is nice, because you're able, like he just portrayed, man, you're able to beat some dude's ass, but also have this inner peace, inner monologue, and have this comfort of just self-worth that is very attractive and drawing in, man. And I love it. I think it needs to be processed a lot more, because there's a lot of other things out there that are very dark and grimacing that a lot of people kind of fester on. But if you can have that kind of Bushido code that Caceres has, man, live on both sides of the coin, I like it, man. I like it a lot. I don't know, Derick, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm 100%. Like I said, I think this is one of the best ambassadors for the sport right here. It's not the message that everyone's going to clamor over, right? But the real ones, they're going to say, like, damn, that was some real shit right there. Like, when I listened to him say that, I was like, that's facts, bro. Like, that is the mentality you want to keep right there. At the end of the day, your performance is not connected to your self-worth. You know what I mean? Like, you should value yourself, winner or loser, as long as you showed up in that cage and you gave it your all. At the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, you're a winner in my book. You know what I mean? But then again, we do also understand there is a difference between winners and losers in the world. So, like, let's keep that, you know what I mean, very transparent. But big win for Bruce Leroy. You got to feel for Juicy J, Julian Erosa. But if there's one thing that we know, is that he will be back, and he will be back with a vengeance. We know that for sure. All right, brother. Now, this is another good and a sad right here, bro. The Drew Dober of the world, man, came in. He fought a slickster in Bobby Green, the ambassador, the voice of the sleeper segment here on this program. And he just was willing to put himself through car crash until he finally got the left hook that got the job done. Drew Dober threw 3 consecutive left hooks while getting pieced up by Bobby Green, and then finally landed the third. And that is the whole entire point of this fight right here. From both coaches in both corners, they were more or less saying, I want you to be first and I want you to be third. And Bobby Green, while he may not have been first, he was second and third a lot, you know what I mean, until the end. What did you think about Drew Dober's performance, and how confident were you feeling about Bobby Green stealing a decision in this one after rounds 1 and midway through rounds 2 when he was just popping Dober back and forth multiple times? What did you think?
A sad fight for Bobby Green when you're winning the fight, piecing this dude up, bloodying him up, and this guy is just relentless and has a lot of power and can eat punches left and right. I mean, Drew Dober, we were talking about it before. This dude is a specimen of a human being, man. Muscular, looks good, classic, Ken Barbie doll. But homeboy's got a brick for a head, and you can tell he was just eating shots left and right, man. And it was a great fight for both guys, man. I thought Bobby Green was looking good, man. Like you said, round and a half, popping these shots, had all the movement going, frustrating Dober. But you can only be so frustrated when you're just throwing big shots and then land a big one and put your boy to sleep. Man, this was a rough fight. But what's nice is I don't think Bobby Green loses any stock here. I think both fighters elevate. both fighters elevated in this fight, man, and it makes me more excited to see Dober against another brawler, man, because you can tell both guys were in there. They had that same kind of code. We're like, oh yeah, we're gonna make this a fun fight. Somebody here is going to sleep. Somebody here is gonna have a 6 month medical suspension. We're gonna have both get paid a hell of a lot of money, brother. Let's have some fun. And it was a very fun fight. I think this was the people's main event, man. A lot of good and another, like you said, Derek. Happy to see Dober win. Sad to see Green lose, but either way, even more excited to see a good fight right here.
So what does it mean to you that Bobby Green has been finished by 3 men in the UFC, right? I'm going to tell you the first 2 because you should know that these are the last 2 fights, right? It's Drew Dober and it's Islam Makhachev. If you had to just throw a random guess out there without looking anything up, like who do you think would be the only other person in the, and I'll just give you the hint, right? Lightweight division, who's the only other person who has finished Bobby Green in his UFC tenure?
If I had to guess, I'm going to say it's somebody early like a Michael Johnson.
You're in a close vicinity. It's actually Dustin Poirier, right?
Okay,
so those are the only 3 guys to finish you, right? Now, what does it mean to you that Drew Dober not only tied Dustin Poirier for most knockouts in the lightweight division, but he did it on a dude who's notoriously very difficult to put away in a Bobby Green, excuse me, man. Like, you got to think Drew Dober's stock is raising higher than ever until, hit the brakes, you call out Jalen Turner, the tarantula, the 6'3" monster, and he says, I want all of those problems. I want all of that smoke. When I saw the call out, I was like, Drew Dober, you're calling your shot. You're daring to be great. But Jalen Turner, is that really the guy that you want? I mean, see, even that, it hits you in the chest. You're like, oh, my Lord, like, come on, bro. So do you need a second, brother, to digest this information?
Nah, man.
Okay.
I mean, Drew Dober wants all the smoke, bro, because when I forgot, it was such a ballsy call out.
Yeah.
I forgot he called up the tarantula, bro. Jalen Turner's a problem.
Yes.
Oh, my God. And makes it even more credit to Drew Dober because that's a hell of a fight that a lot of people are turning down. Man, yeah, I think stock is rising and rising very, very fast for Drew Dober. If we can see that fight come together, man, that would be a one you pay for. Put that one on the UFC on pay-per-view.
That's right. And I will say Drew Dober, man, I mean, he did another great call out. He says, listen, Bobby Green's the only dude to accept a fight with me. Nobody else wants to fight me. Mm-hmm. That goes to show something right there, man. All right, brother. So big win by Drew Dober. He got a feel for Bobby Green. But once again, in classic fashion, Bobby the King Green, he will be back. Now, in just a one-sided railroad demolition of a campaign right here, Michal Oleksiejczuk, or maybe Michal, they say it a bunch of different ways, a bunch of different times. He got taken down by Cody Brundage, which was Cody Brundage's pretty much only chance of victory in our eyes going into this bout. And Oleksiejczuk reversed him and smashed his face in for the TKO victory. It was very one-sided. I know you messaged me on real quick being like, yo, for 45 seconds, how worried were you? And I told you, not worried at all, because you got to keep this up for 15 minutes if you want to win. Oleksiejczuk, man, he's too big, too strong, you know what I mean, too powerful. What'd you think?
I was then for about 45 seconds, Derek, I was on the edge of my seat, so excited because I thought the same thing. I thought Oleksiejczuk was too strong, too big, too talented to be controlled by Brundage. And Brundage had a smile on his face. He was looking good. He was controlling him. He had the backpack on him. And then we saw Oleksiejczuk literally turn him around and use his man strength and just flip him around and beat him up. And it was a sad one, man. I was very excited because this was the start of my Hail Mary. If this fight could have went Brundage's way, I thought the tables were going to be turning, Derek. We are going to be making some moves. The storyline was going to be lining up. Turns out the planets don't align sometimes when you got a Polish, the Polish. I'm pretty sure Oleksiejczuk is Polish. But you got a hammer like Michal Oleksiejczuk coming at you, man. The planets don't line up as always. And Brundage got the worst of it. He was smiling until he went to sleep from some hammer fists. Big fight for Oleksiejczuk, man. Not much you can say, bro. He looked good.
Yeah, man. And Cody Brundage coming off of like 2 knockout wins, man. Like, so this is like, it's tough. But Oleksiejczuk, he did what the odds makers, everybody else pretty much expected him to do. So this was one-way demolition traffic. I want to see who they give to Oleksiejczuk next because this dude is very talented, man. But for now, he ends 2022 with a bang, with a legitimate bang, with a knockout win. And you got to love to see that one, man. All right, brother. Folks, that was your final main card recap of 2022. You got to love it. It's been a very eventful year. And if you have not subscribed yet, you should absolutely subscribe right now. Smash that subscribe button. Share the show with your friends. Tell them to subscribe and just let everybody know. We already gave you the numbers. If you want stats, we're both above 60% on 230 picks this year. Literally, go check your ESPNs, your MMA junkies, your other media outlets for MMA. Go poll how they're doing, compare it to ours, and we'll leave it at that. Now, let's go over a couple of fun prelims, man. We have a little bit of time here. And the first one that I want to talk about is one that we had a little contested, but I both think that we came up on the right side of things when we said Cheyenne Vlismas versus Corey McKenna. She needs to watch out for Corey McKenna, because while it might not be flashy, McKenna knows how to grind out a victory, and that's exactly what she did on our featured prelim. Now, you have some that are feeling a little salty towards Cheyenne Vlismas, who did ultimately say, listen, I dropped the ball, a win is a win is a win, and she got the dub. But there was a note that she had said, starting up the third round, yelling across the cage, hey, you want to try striking now? And it's like, for me, immediately in my mind, I flash back to the fight against Montserrat Ruiz, where she got head and arm throwed like 20 times and said, bitch, I'll follow you home. Like, I flash back to that fight, because instead of learning from the performance and saying, I need to sharpen up my grappling, which she did some pretty fantastic, like, she was working from her guard in jiu-jitsu, like, she was. But you have to then accept this is mixed martial arts, and this is literally, if that's their path to victory, that's what they're going to do. You should stop it instead of complaining about it. What did you make of that right there? And do you think, I mean, who do you think has a higher future, a higher ceiling in this division, Vlismas or McKenna?
Well, to answer that one first, man, McKenna. I think McKenna does. I think she, with the humble or the humility she showed and the camp she's in and the skills she possesses, I think she can do very well. She just needs to now have that kind of fire that Vlismas has on the mic. If we can combine that, I think McKenna has a great path. What I took away from Vlismas, man, two things. One, never ever say your weakness to your opponent, man. Never say, hey, let's try some striking, because that means you don't want to get wrestled again because you're tired of getting wrestling fucked for 15 minutes. So that's what they're going to do. So you literally gave her the path of the victory. Completely mental fault right there. It was crazy to hear her say that. And I was like, all right, you literally just told her what you don't want. She's going to grapple. Like, it's so simple. And two, if Vlismas, I think the big thing that kind of lost her this fight, she didn't have that edge she normally has. You know, she didn't have that kind of fire. She went into this one friendly, fun, as a competition. And we saw her not perform to her greatest. So I think if she can have a little bit of that edge and not necessarily be mad at the other opponent or have, you know, kind of like a need to be following bitches home and all that, but still have that little bit of edge to it, I think she'll do a lot better. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, man. Honestly, I just think that you got to work on your takedown defense. You got to work on not letting your opponent just clinch you up and hold you against the cage. I do think there was a strength differential. Corey McKenna, though she doesn't look it, man, I think she's a little tank in there, like legitimately, bro. So I think McKenna has a very high ceiling. The only problem is she is literally dealing with one of the shortest reaches in the entire company's history right here. So the striking department, you're going to have to get in on some of these people. Once you start hitting those higher level opponents, it's going to be a lot more difficult to get in and eat a couple of those punches, kicks, whatever the case may be, to move forward. And then we also saw with Vlismas, she was throwing the kicks, doing what she normally does, and McKenna was catching them, and that's how she was taking her down some of those spots. So just a little strategy adjustment. But I do think the tough part for Vlismas is she wasn't nearly as active this year as she has been as of late. So like a little more activity throughout the year, and maybe she could have got the job done. I'm not sure. Either way, big win by Poppins, Corey McKenna right there. AJ, let's talk about real quick. This, my sleeper, which I still hope in the eyes of the fans ended up being a sleeper, because Semi, the Jedi, dropped Jake Matthews on his ass every single round. It's like every time he touched him with that right hand, Matthews went down. And this was a tough one, man, because Matthews, this dude was surging, came off of a nasty knockout of Andre Fialho, and then just proceeded to just get pieced up by Semmelsberger. So this was a battle of check left hook for Matthews, straight right hand down the pipe for Semmelsberger, and Semmelsberger easily pretty much got the job done here. What'd you think?
We've said it time and time again, Derek. The straight punch always beats the hook, and that's exactly what happened. And what's crazy is Matthews is such a tank and such a strong-willed individual that he didn't go to sleep with all that power that Semmelsberger has, dude. Because those are some shots and good fight for both these guys. Now, my big thing: do you think it played into any effect, any mental game plan that Matthews was so concerned about? Mike Jackson. Was it Mike Jackson? The guy he beat up at the PI?
That was a different guy. You're talking about Jake Shields.
Oh, was that Jake Shields? I thought that was Jake Matthews that whole time. I'm sorry about that. Never mind. Fuck that question.
It's all
great fight. I was like, damn, Jake Matthews really beat up. I was lost. Anyway, good fight for both guys. Do either of these guys' stocks to you, Derek, fall?
Jake Matthews, man, just a little bit, just because it's always this little run and this hype behind him, and then the big moment comes and he kind of falters off. I don't even want to say peters off, maybe. Like, he just kind of drops the ball just a little bit, right? So I do think Semi the Jedi, his stock more than anything, definitely goes up. But for Jake Matthews, man, you just got to find the consistency. You got to find your identity of a fighter, right? Because it's like we're going in between the boxing and the wrestling. And we just got to find that consistency of what exactly the strategy is going to be. The fact that he was not really able to just get the takedown on Semmelsberger like that was a little concerning to me, because I'm like, that's literally your bread and butter. It's what you're known for. But either way, I think Semmelsberger, man, stock rises tremendously. This dude has, in his UFC fights, man, let me just take a peek really quickly. In the UFC, my man, I believe, has 7 fights. Yep, he has 7 fights, and he has 7 knockdowns in those 7 fights. I mean, come on, what more can you ask for right there? Let's talk about your sleeper, though, man. Rafa Garcia versus Maheshate. Bloody affair, man. Nomination for the Bloody Water Podcast Award of the year right there, man. Rafa Garcia literally has an artery in his temple split open that took 2 hours to stop the bleeding on. Courtesy of, I believe, a Maheshate elbow, right? So what did you make of this, man? I told you the difference in this fight, in my opinion, was going to be that Rafa Garcia, even though he loves to stand and bang, also can turn into D1 Rafa and get those takedowns, and that's exactly what he did. What'd you make of it?
Man, the bloodiest water award right there, Derek. This is, I don't know if it was the bloodiest fight of 2023, but when you saw the like you said, the artery squirting out of Rafa Garcia's head, and then he gets on top and just starts twisting it towards him and letting the blood squirt into Maheshate's head or into his eyes. Man, you gotta love it, bro. This is a great fight. What blew me away was how big Maheshate is, and I know he missed weight by like 3 pounds, but even a 3-pound miss for a dude that is that massive, that dude is cutting a lot of weight. That is very impressive. Bro, this what I had to tweet this one out too, man. What I tell you about a sleeper fight, bro. This was a very, very fun one, and washing machine fight. I don't know if I've ever seen a washing machine red before, but if this was in one, this was a hell of a scrap.
That's right. That's like when they say the what's black and white and red all over, right? What is it?
Rafa Garcia and a washing machine.
There we go, brother. Let's go. All right, man. This was a fun fight, man. I think the more impressive note that we need to take from this is that Rafa Garcia, 30-27, a man who missed weight by like 2-3 pounds. So you took like 20% of his purse, and you 30-27 him, and you got your check, and you probably get a bonus just for being a badass. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. Beautiful to see. This was my prelim, people's main event on the prelims, man. Nurmagomedov versus Saidyokun Kakhramonov. And if there's one thing that we need to note here, is that Kakhramonov is a problem, bro. But he did fall victim to the one thing that I knew, like I saw this coming. While everybody was super down on Said, being like, damn, Said's getting put on right now, I was just thinking to myself, this dude, Kakhramonov, is so relentless with these takedowns. He keeps shooting in. If there's one thing Nurmagomedov is good at, it's snatching that neck. And if I know anything from experience, man, some of the really high-level dudes at the gym, when I'm being relentless and I'm just like, all right, my one plan of attack is I have to take you down. I have to get your back on the mat. What do I fall victim to? The wrestler mentality, right? When you wrestle and you shoot, your neck is exposed, guillotine gets snatched up. In this case, it was a nice little ninja choke. Next thing you know, Kakhramonov instantly tap. Like, you didn't think the tap would come that quick given how relentless he was being, but that's how you know, 1, you're exhausted. 2, I mean, that pace you put on and you get your neck snatched, that was tight. That was it, man. What did you make of this performance, and did you think Nurmagomedov had any chance of victory at that point in the fight?
I was very impressed with Kakhramonov, man. The pressure that this boy was putting on a very talented Nurmagomedov was very impressive. But I was more impressed with how calm during the mauling Nurmagomedov was. And you can just tell that's from hours and hours and hours in the gym just getting mauled on, because dude his face didn't change, his breathing didn't change. He was just looking for his plan of attack. And the second he saw it, like you said, he snatched that neck up. And Kakhramonov, you can tell he was out of breath, because that was a panic tap, like, oh shit, I can't breathe. Oh no, I'm gonna die. So it was a very strong, very, very impressive win for Nurmagomedov, man. And both dudes, another fight where, in my mind, both of these fighters stock rise. I don't really see these fighters losing stock. I think this is a great one, man. Sad it had to be like a prelim early in their career, but I think we see a rematch going. What do you think?
I absolutely agree with everything you said, and it's me asking the question the same way that I did in the previous show. Why were they even fighting at this point in their career? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, let them build their stocks, and this would be a much bigger fight in the future. But now we have a pretty definitive answer. Nurmagomedov is a strangler, man. This dude is a problem, and you have to watch out for him. But we also know Kakhramonov, at this point, you got to give him a little bit of a tougher. Now, I'm not going to say a tougher test because obviously he didn't pass this test, but like you got to give him those tough tests. You know he's ready for it, and you know he will be able to pass with flying colors in the future moving forward. A couple other good fights that happened on the card, man. Rinat Fakhretdinov, man, this dude just mauled Brian Battle. This is a guy who's going to be a serious issue. You're going to have to watch for him. Manel Kape back in the win column after a big win against David Dvorak, and then Sergey Morozov. He gets the decision win over Journey Newsom. So a couple other good fights here on the card overall, but through and through, man. Like I said, this was the last card of the year. Now, AJ, real quick, last rankings review of the year. Let's talk about it, man. There's not really much to talk about here, but I want to revisit a conversation that we had a couple of events ago. So you remember, and this is not even pertinent to what happened this week, but you remember Kamaru Usman, right? He gets his head knocked off in the 5th round, loses to Leon Edwards, and then they said we're going to run it back in London, all that good stuff. Well, now they're saying there's rumors that Kamaru Usman, because he's dealing with hand surgery right now, he won't be ready to fight Leon Edwards in time. So the question will become, okay, well, you got to get somebody in there for that card, right? Leon Edwards fighting in London, this is a big deal. You should probably make that happen. Rumor is, AJ, you know, Game Bread, Jorge Masvidal, you know that guy, the dude who gave him the 3-piece in the soda, you know what I'm saying? They're saying he might get the opportunity to fight. First, this is a 2-part question. The first question is it absolutely ludicrous and a disgrace to the sport of mixed martial arts of any type of meritocracy if Jorge Masvidal legitimately gets a title shot after doing nothing to earn it? And number 2, do you think this is bullshit, man? Do you think Kamaru Usman will be next in line for this fight? What do you think?
Yes, it is absolute bullshit, or something's in the cards if Jorge Masvidal gets to this fight, man, because this is all about sales. Because like you said, he gave him the 3-piece in the soda and then glid out on the London streets, if I'm not mistaken, bro. This happened in visitor territory, bro. Leon Edwards thought he was on home turf, and sure enough, Jorge pieces him up. I think this, if Game Bread gets this fight, bro, it's all about the ticket sales. Yeah. You know that's going to be playing. And if you're Kamaru Usman, it's such bullshit because that's such a money time fight in that kind of a thing to get it back, get the rematch back in London, knock him out on home turf, get your belt back. Yeah. Man, you got to be feeling for Kamaru Usman, man, because what has Game Bread done besides the 3-piece and the soda? And don't get me wrong, I'm a Jorge Masvidal loyalist over here, brother. I love Street Jesus, but besides that, in the last 3 years, not really much. He's been the BMF, but it was a weird stoppage. I love the man, but did he deserve a title fight? I don't know. What do you think, Derek?
Masvidal's last one was in 2019 against Nate Diaz. Come on. You know what I mean? He had that. That was
a shiesty stoppage. Yeah, Other than that, it was a 3-piece. I don't know.
He had the little run. The Darren Till, Ben Askren, Diaz. Since then, he's dropped 3 in a row. Usman twice, and then Colby Covington. You fought for the belt twice, brother. You gonna fight for the belt 3 times in 4 fights, and you won none of the fights? Come on. All right, brother. That's it. Let's get out of here. We'll leave on that note. So, folks, this is your final Bloody Water podcast, legitimate, like breaking down cards, doing all that stuff, post-show, pre-show, all that good stuff of the year. It's been a fantastic year. And before we hop out of here, because while we are running late on time, we do have a couple of minutes to just do a little bit of a recap and a little bit of a chat, right? Once again, we have high stakes on the line for next year. 2023 championship belt, undisputed champion, right? That's going to be on the line. I'm going to savor this victory for the next couple of days, but that's it. You can't savor on what you've done in the past. You can only move forward. And like I said, in the horizons, we got 1 back there, 1 on the shoulder. I need 2 on the shoulder, 1 back there, and then the next year I need another 1 on top. But I know my man AJ, I can see it in the eyes. He's like, oh, you motherfucker right here, man. I'm getting that belt and it's sitting right behind me. But that's the thing, man. Motivation right here. This is what it's about. I hope, if anything, AJ, that this competition has spurred the growth in us and the focus mentally to really reassess how exactly we're going about making these picks. Because 1, it helps us, helps our egos, our pride, having nice pick records and all that stuff. But 2, think about this. This is for the good people at home that tune into this program who take our picks and they actually roll with them. So if you rolled with either one of us, you had over a 60% accuracy on the entire year. I just want to reiterate one more time, AJ, that is such a phenomenal feat. And let me bring it up. Let me bring it up here one more time, bro, because I just feel like this is important. Look at that. 148 and 82 for me, 141 and 89 for you. And AJ, I honestly do believe if you would have went with your original gut picks this year, the original ones you would have had, it would have been like literally still just like a 4 or 5 pick differential. It ended up being 7 picks, but it is what it is. Give me some thoughts on all of this.
All that, Derek. I mean, you said it's some of the best, man. It's such a great year going around, such high accuracy rates, and going forward into the future, going to be doing even better. But like you said, Derek, we do it for you fans, you folks out there, all the people that are subscribing, passing it on, man, trying to get money in your pockets. Because if you did either one of us, let's say you only went with Derek's picks or you only went with my picks, either way, you're getting 60% of the time. But if you were mixing and matching on both of our picks, you probably made a lot more money out there. So we're happy to do it and excited to be bringing it to you folks each week in and out, and gonna be even more excited to be making those improvements going into 2023. Like Derek said, man, I'm hungry. I got a big blank spot right over here that I've been waiting to put this belt on, and I'm even more hungry going into 2023 because I got another year to wait till I can, get a little bit more shiny material behind me. But it's either way, man, we're doing it to really out of a passion project that makes us very happy to get it done either way, man. So we're going to be here all the time, but even more excited to do it for you folks week in and week out. And I'm even though we're going to get a pretty long, lengthy break right here, I'm still turning the wheels on how we can always bring better and more content to you folks. So if you ever have any suggestions, anything like that, hit us up on Instagram, DM. You already know where to go. Your favorite fighter's favorite fight show is trying to get better just for you folks out there.
That's right. And I mean, listen, this is pretty much ending the year with a bang right here. I do want to give you guys the very friendly reminder. We are always looking to evolve, always looking to move forward and increase kind of what we're able to provide for you folks. So if there are little changes year by year, do not fret, do not worry. It's all in the big picture plan right there. But folks, that is it for us. I'm going to ask one thing from you, AJ, before we get out of here, because the next time the people hear from us, probably legitimately in this kind of setting, won't be until January of next year. Do you have any happy holidays messages for the good people at home? Because all I'm going to say is be safe, do the right thing, and enjoy and spend time with the people that you love. AJ, what message you got for the people?
Man, never ever hold on to grudges. And if there's anybody you ever feel a certain way about, communicate, talk to them, tell them you love them. Even if you need to tell them you hate them, but work it out verbally and spend the time with the people you love, man, because that is above all the best thing. So I hope you have a safe, happy, healthy holiday season. And like you said, spread the love, Derek. It's no reason to be mad, no reason to hold grudges. And go into this year prosperous, brother. I'm excited for it.
100%, folks. So that will be it for 2022, folks. It's been a hell of a run. We'll catch you on the flip side. Happy holidays. Have a great rest of your week, great rest of your year, and we'll see you next time. Peace.